Well, I did have a pocketbook. You know, in the 20s, they had the metalish kind of pocketbooks, and going to proms, your
Jeffrey.
gloves are this long. I really do love doing Federation Day. I think it's one of the best things because we get to think back over time and what we have done in each of our clubs and what we can share with others project-wise. So, anything else?
Thanks so much, Pauletta. And what we have done collectively since 1890 as an organization, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Sandy, if you're ready, I'd love to introduce you. Sandy Cyphers, our GFWC-NC Boys and Girls Homes Chairman.
Thank you so much, First Vice President and sweet lady, Karen Throckmorton. Good evening, members, and good evening, listeners and viewers and guests. Thank you for attending this GFWC-NC broadcast this evening. As you heard from Karen, I am Sandy Cyphers. I'm a member of the Wilmington Women's Club, and I have the honor of serving as the GFWC-NC State Chairman for the Boys and Girls Home, and it's an honor. I served on the Board of Trustees for about 7 or 8 years and finally did my time and got off, and now here I'm honored to be back. So, thank you again for asking me, President Crystal. Okay. For you members that are out there listening and out there in Zoom land, the Boys and Girls Homes of North Carolina, as we know, is a GFWC-NC state project. And we should never, ever forget them, just like we do not forget our other state projects and things that we give to. They need us really, really bad. Last year in 2019, and I say last year, I'm kind of confused, you know, with this COVID-19. The GFWC-NC gave over $14,000. I'll repeat that, $14,000. Now we'd like for it to be 50 or 100,000, but for us, you know, and especially with the pandemic and everything that was going on, $14,000 can do a lot. Tonight, I am honored to introduce our guest speaker, and he's going to share a little bit about the Boys and Girls Home because a lot of things have happened within the last year of the Boys and Girls Home. So at this time, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mason Smith, and Mason is the Director of Civic Club Relations at the Boys and Girls Home. And I work with Mason on the Civic Club Committee, and I also serve on the Development Club Committee or Development Committee. So welcome, Mason, to our broadcast today. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Greetings from beautiful Lake Waccamaw, where I always tell people the birds are chirping, the gators are grunting, and the children are laughing. And that last thing is the most important. And I just want to say a special thank you to Sandy for all that she does for the children. She really has a heart for those kids, and everybody does in GFWC, North Carolina. And we're just so thankful for you. Sandy, I don't know if you wanted me to show the video now or share a little bit.
Yes, show the video now in the beginning.
Hopefully I can get this work. I think I can share my screen, and we have a video that is narrated by Bill Thompson, who's a former president of Boys and Girls Homes and also a writer for Our State magazine and an author here in North Carolina. But it just will give you sort of a visual. If you haven't been to our campus or haven't been in a while, it will refresh your memory. So let me see if I can get this to work. It says that screen sharing is disabled by the host.
Okay, so Karen, you're the host.
Karen's got it.
And this is only 5 minutes, ladies.
Well, it looks like it's not quite working. I'm not hearing any audio. If you want to just pause it, we can do just the conversation piece. Sandy, you're muted.
Once again, Mason, thank you so much. It is a 5-minute presentation, and if any of you would like to see that, just email me and I will forward that to you, or contact Mason and he will be delighted to. Mason, a lot, as I said, has been going on at the Boys and Girls Home. So for those who aren't familiar with the Boys and Girls Home, and how many of you, I'd like to see a show of hands, have heard or have heard people who have been guests from the Boys and Girls Home state that have been introduced as the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh.
Okay. Mason, how about telling us what is the Boys and Girls Home, and just a few moments about that, and then the Boys and Girls Club. Both are wonderful, but of course we love the Boys and Girls Home.
Well, of course, the Boys and Girls Club is a natural mistake for us because the names are so similar, and the Boys and Girls Club does a lot of incredible work in after-school programs and summer camps. But we're not that. We're Boys and Girls Homes is, of course, a residential program that provides trauma-informed therapeutic care to children who are victims of sexual abuse or violence in the home. And it's not just a residential program any longer. It started in 1954 as a true orphanage. And A.D. Peacock, who ran a funeral home here in Whiteville in Columbus County, saw a number of children over the years who were left without parents in the home, and it just really broke his heart. And so that's where it started, with a place for our children to grow up. And as childcare needs have changed over the years, we have changed and adapted, and we continue to provide a residential program with 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week care. It's a real home for those children, but we've grown beyond that to include foster care services, adoption services, parent training and classes, counseling for kids who are not even on our campus, advocacy for child victims across the state. So that would be the real big difference between what we're doing. We're really focusing more on family strengthening and child victims of abuse.
Now, there is one big thing, and of course, I shared this in the last magazine, GFWC-NC magazine, is our new president. So would you like to just share a moment or two about him?
Yes, you always tell people, I try to relate in stories and experiences. And, you know, when I asked my wife in the morning, when I was getting dressed, I said, honey, is this shirt dirty? Not this one. It was a different shirt. You know why I asked, right? Because I already knew it was dirty. The people tend to ask questions they already know the answer to. And so when I ask, is Ricky Creech going to be good for Columbus County, for Boys and Girls Homes, for the state of North Carolina, I already know the answer. I don't have to think about it. Gary Faircloth, who was our president for many years, was an incredible, just a titan in the services to children. And Ricky tells us, as who's come now to fill in for Gary, that he's not trying to fill Gary's shoes. he just hopes to stand on his shoulders. Gary Faircloth retired to care for his wife, Betty, who's been struggling with a battle with cancer, and she's just not doing well health-wise. And so Gary's first priority, rightly so, is to his wife and his family. And Ricky Creech was recruited by our board of directors to come and to take over the baton and to move our organization and our services forward. Ricky is a guy who has a master's in social work. He has a lot of experience in different social work agencies. He is a certified traumatologist, which means someone who really studies the effects of trauma on people, especially children. He was the director of the DC Baptist Convention for many years before going into the child care industry. And he served for a long time in Buckhorn in Kentucky, a wonderful children's home that's a lot like ours in its model and in its vision. He comes to us from Virginia, from a family services and child care home there in Virginia in the South Boston area. He comes with a lot of experience, a lot of vision, a lot of hopes and dreams, and we're excited. But I'll tell you, what you could know about Ricky that really sums him up is on day one, the first day he was on campus, he was out in the cottages spending time with the kids, and he was specifically dealing with one kid who was going through some emotional trauma and was acting out. And it was Ricky, our new CEO, who was able to calm that child down and get that child in a safe place mentally, physically, and spiritually. So we're excited about him.
Thank you, Mason. Now, some of the ladies and members and our listeners might not know, but we do have a school on campus, Thomas Academy. Would you share with our listeners and members about Thomas Academy, just a few moments and stuff, in reference to, is it open to the public for children that live in the community or outside the community, or only for those at the Boys and Girls Home?
It is not a private school. It's a state charter school. So that means it is open to students across Columbus County. Many of our students who come to Thomas Academy from the county have either failed out of or been expelled out of traditional school settings. And we are a no fail, no expel school, which means we really work hard on behavioral issues and study issues, learning issues. So all of our residents are there right now. In COVID, they're there. Our residents are there 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, with Wednesday being a deep cleaning day. And then some of our community kids, county kids are there as well. But most of our county kids right now are studying remotely. We have a 100% graduation rate in that school through some of the work that we do. We have behavioral specialists. We have counselors who are trained to work with kids who have been traumatized or who have academic struggles, learning disabilities, and so forth. But there's a lot of kids who come to Thomas Academy because it's one of the best schools in the county. Some of the things we offer, no other school offers. In fact, my own son is a freshman at Thomas Academy. He loves the fact that the school size, the class size is so small. And my wife teaches high school math. God bless her heart. I cannot imagine doing that. But yeah, it's a wonderful place to learn at Thomas Academy.
And Mason, many of the listeners and members may not know this, but those students that graduate from Thomas Academy and are accepted in a college, it's my understanding that the Boys and Girls Home pays their 4 years in college.
That's right. As I say, by hook or by crook, we get them into college debt-free. So a lot of that funding comes from different civic clubs and organizations who create sponsorships, private donors who create sponsorships and scholarships. We also work, of course, with all the federal aid that's available to children, and especially children who are in DSS custody. There's a lot of programs available. So we're kind of the one that bring all that together. And not only do our kids graduate, if they go to college, graduate debt-free, they usually graduate with enough money to live off of, to have transportation and food costs provided as well.
We know about the lake home, and that's strictly for mothers expecting
Right.
or mothers that do have babies and stuff. Is there anything new that the Boys and Girls Home is doing that we should know about at this time? I think everyone will be surprised to know a change.
Yeah, I'll tell you, by the way, if my wife is not teaching, you can probably find her at the lake house holding a baby. It's hard to resist. But there is a lot that's changing, probably too much to tell. I can highlight two things that I think are the most significant. One is our Child Advocacy Center in Whiteville called Carolyn's Kaleidoscope. And Carolyn's Kaleidoscope really provides for a unique need in Columbus and Bladen County. If a child is a victim, up until now, if a child was a victim of physical or sexual violence in Columbus County and Bladen County, which are two very underserved counties, that child might have to go through an 8-week, 9-week process of reporting to law enforcement, school authorities, social workers would be involved. There might be several medical screenings involved. And this again takes a process over several weeks. Every time that child has to report or talk about the abuse, they're also reliving that trauma and really re-experiencing. At the same time, it opens the door for enormous mishandling of testimony and mishandling of evidence. It's just human error. And the perpetrator probably still has access to that child during that entire process. And you can imagine complications that could come from that. The CAC, or Child Advocacy Center, is a one-stop shop in Whiteville, in a nice little home, in a nice little neighborhood. You would just think it was another house, but it's a place where the forensic interview can happen, the medical examinations can happen, and counseling services can happen all on the same day at the same time. Law enforcement is involved. We're bringing together law enforcement from across the counties, social workers and caseworkers from across the counties, and the justice system to provide a rock solid case against those who are guilty, and to bring justice, because justice is a part of healing for victims. I really believe that. We've already seen a number of convictions.
How many youth are on campus at this time?
We have 30 kids on campus right now, and actually that's lower than normal.
Yes.
COVID has played a role in that, as we saw in March when schools shut down, and then through the summer, a lot of the cases of abuse just didn't get reported because there was no one to report them to. But we're starting to see now, as school has restarted and those relationships of trust have built back up with teachers and social workers and counselors, those cases are beginning to be reported and our numbers are rising.
And of course, the majority of the cottages are named the Lions Club, the Rotary, things like that. Now, you have one new thing that has made a big, I should say, impact in the community and in the state of North Carolina. And that is the sibling cottage. And could you tell, I mean, they're in a cottage, siblings, and they are there for what reason?
We have two sibling cottages. One is in the Optimist Cottage. Keeping families together is a big part of our new vision. And that cottage is really there for boys. And then we're starting a program in the Civitan Cottage called Bright Hope. So this is for children whose parents are in a nearby drug and alcohol recovery program. One of the main things that keeps parents out of a recovery program is they're worried about their children. They don't want their children going into DSS custody, and they probably have burned every bridge with family. And so we've got a partnership with a Brunswick Christian Recovery Center, which is a 1 to 2 year long program. And so while the parent is in that program getting the help that they need, their child can stay at Boys and Girls Homes free of charge. and benefit from all of the services and the horses and the lake and everything else free of charge, and also be receiving family therapy and what we call it, what we're using the Celebrate Recovery curriculum to help that child and to bridge the gap between what the parent is receiving and what the child can receive. It's an exciting program. And we really think it's going to make an enormous difference across the state.
And I know that all our listeners and members are familiar with the country store. I was in there about 3 weeks ago and I bought me a dollar dress. A dollar dress. It is beautiful with a jacket. So is there any other way? I know money, and I know that the giving and donations are down, especially with this COVID. How can we make the most impact? As you know, and some of you know, as the chairman, I had an incentive for the clubs. I sent all the club presidents an email asking them to send money, to please consider sending money to the Boys and Girls Home. And they sent it to me and I forwarded. It wasn't as what I expected. I was expecting a little bit more, but every little bit helps. So how can we make an impact with the Boys and Girls Home?
Certainly, it's a good question because a lot of clubs are struggling with their fundraisers, and we know that that's just a reality. One way you can contribute without having to make an extra contribution is if you're ordering on Amazon, to go to Amazon Smile, link your Amazon account to that Amazon Smile program, and you can designate Boys and Girls Homes, and Amazon will donate on your behalf a certain percentage of however much you spend. That's a great way to contribute. Of course, the country store, we take donations every Friday. We've received donations, or if you're in a group together collecting a few things and you want me to come by and pick those up next time I'm in your area, that's certainly possible as well. And we're always open to food drives. Those number 10 cans, those big cans, we love those. But we'll also take the regular size cans. Sometimes clubs have had parties or events, not that you can do that now, but even Zoom events where the admission cost is 1 can, green beans and fruit and so forth. Body care products, that's one thing that some clubs have done to kill 2 birds with 1 stone is they've purchased body care like deodorant and body sprays and shampoos. They've ordered them through Amazon Smile and had them shipped to us. And then at the same time, that contribution generates the other contribution through Amazon Smile.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mason. Also, you that are listening out there and our members, there is the Ann Wheeler Brown award at the state convention that we give for the Boys and Girls, on behalf of the Boys and Girls Home. I hope that we have many, many entries this year. My club was fortunate last year to win that award, and I think about 2 or 3 years ago. It is a wonderful award. It's for a wonderful cause, and I'm just excited, and hopefully we are going to get a lot of entries in that area. Now, thank you, Mason, for joining us, sharing your time with us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you at our state convention and meeting the new president. Hopefully he'll come with you, and I think everyone will love him. He's one of those that you just feel this magnet being drawn to him because of this smile and this friendliness that he radiates. So thank you, Mason. We love you for what you do, and never forget that we're here. And if you need anything, especially, I think we can get our ladies to step up to the plate and do that. Okay.
Thank you. And thank you for having me, and invite me to your next Zoom meeting.
We loved having you. We loved it. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Sandy.